The highlight reel told a tidy story. Kylian Mbappé, 2 goals, a 30-yard screamer into the top corner, and another record ticking over. 14 at World Cups now. Level with Gerd Muller, too short of the all-time mark. France won 3-1. Roll the music, cut to the celebration, and done. But the reel lied by leaving things out. It hit a first half so flat that France managed exactly one blocked shot. It hit Senegal hitting the post, missing from 6 yards, and looking the likelier winners. It hit a quiet halftime decision that rewrote the entire night. And it skated straight past the flashpoint, a penalty France swore they were robbed of. Tonight we replay all of it, the tactics that turned the game, the striker rewriting the record books, and the 90 seconds by the touchline everyone is still arguing about. This is the story of the highlights cut. Take your seats, Adda family. This is the tactics room where we replay the chess behind the goals. Here's tonight's running order. The bulk of the show is, of course, pure tactics, the halftime switch that flipped the match. Big chunk belongs to Mbappe and a goal record that is now genuinely within reach. And then there's the controversy he came to argue about. If you want the full 90 broken down like this every match day, hit subscribe and ring the bell icon so you never miss the next show. House lights down. On with it. So let's read the team sheets. France lined up in a 4-2-3-1. In front of Mainan, the back four read Koundé at right back, Saliba and Upamecano in the center, Theo Hernandez at left back. The engine room was a double pivot, and here it was Chouameni and Rabiot, screening the back four and recycling the ball onto the forwards. Ahead of them, a front four of pure speed. Olise on the right, Dembele floating as the number 10, and Doué on the left. And Mbappe, the captain, leading the line. The whole concept was channel runs, with Mbappe timing his dart in behind the last defenders. Senegal under Papa Thiaw answered with a 4-3-3. Koulibaly captained the backline alongside Niakate, with Diatta and the young Diouf at fullback. A midfield three of Lamine Camara, Idrissa Gana Gueye, and Papa Gueye was built to outnumber France's two pivots and control the center. Up top, Ismaila Sarr and Sadio Mane stretched the width while Nicholas Jackson ran the channels. The blueprint was smart. Win the midfield 3 against 2, sit compact when they lost the ball, then spring the wingers into the space behind France's adventurous fullbacks. On paper, France had the bigger names and the deeper bench. On grass, for 45 minutes, the billing meant absolutely nothing. The first act belonged to Senegal. France's front four, the very part built to win the game, instead played like four strangers, each man in his own postcode, none on the same wavelength. Olise hugged the right touchline and saw almost nothing of the ball. Dembele drifted central but had nobody to combine with. Mbappe kept peeling off the last shoulder looking for the run, but the pass never arrived because the lines were simply too far apart. Too much grass between the defense, midfield, and attack for anyone to link them. The numbers were brutal. One blocked shot all half, and an expected goal figure of barely 0.05. A first half number that said France essentially never threatened the goal at all. Senegal, by contrast, looked coordinated and dangerous. They pressed high and kept finding Mane and Sarr in space out wide. On 25 minutes, Jackson spun his marker inside the box and rattled the post. Then, deep into first half stoppage time, came the moment Senegal would replay in their nightmares. A ball dropped to Sarr 6 yards out, the goal gaping, the keeper beaten, and he lifted it over the bar. The 6-yard sin. Goalless at the break, but on the run of play, the team that deserved to lead was the one in white and green. So, how did a flat France turn into a ruthless France in the space of 15 minutes? Here was the decision the highlights hid. At halftime, Deschamps redrew his attack. He moved Olise off the right wing and into the central number 10 role and pushed Dembele out to the wide area Olise had just left. One swap, two players moved, and the entire picture changed. In the first half, nobody truly lived between the lines. So France's passing kept dying in front of the Senegal block. Put Olise there, and France suddenly had a thinking player in the most dangerous square on the pitch. Look at how the passing map flipped. Before the break, the passes were short, sideways, and played backwards and recycled. Position with no penetration. A team knocking on a locked door. After the switch, the ball began traveling forward, vertically through the middle with Olise as the hinge connecting midfield to Mbappe. And the change fixed the spacing too. With Dembele now stationed wide, Senegal's fullbacks had to hold their weight. They could no longer tuck inside to crowd the center. That reopened the very channels Mbappe had been starving for all afternoon. The interval rewrite didn't just change one position, it reconnected an entire team without a single substitution. And now the part of the night the reel skipped entirely. The bit you come to argue about. Roll it back to that hour mark. Mbappe spun in behind, got across his man, and went down under a sliding Sadio Mane challenge inside the box. France erupted, and here's where it turned sour twice over. Referee Ali Reza Fagani didn't just wave that appeal away. He went to the VAR box, saw the contact, and then gave it as a foul initiated by the attacker. When you watch the replays, you can see why France were livid. There was contact. Mane's trailing leg caught Mbappe as he knocked the ball past. It wasn't a stonewall penalty. Reasonable people will disagree on whether it was enough to go down. So France felt robbed twice in one motion. Denied a penalty they thought was there, and then further denied after the VAR check. Now, credit due where it's due. They did not sulk. They answered it the only way that shuts an argument down, with goals. It paid off on 66 minutes. Look at where Olise was standing, central on the edge of the D, body open, facing the Senegal goal. It took the ball and shaped as if to roll it square, then instead slid a disguised through ball into the left channel. And the defenders hesitated for the crucial half second. Mbappe read it before anyone else on the pitch, bursting of the last shoulder into the gap between Niakate and Koulibaly. Looking at the geometry of the run, he was moving diagonally across the face of the goal, the ball rolling ahead of him on a perfect line towards Mendy's bottom corner. He met it first time, low and clean inside the far post. 1-0 France. And a partnership that could not have existed in the first half because Olise was pinned to the touchline. Same two players, same talent, different seats at the table. France didn't just earn a cleaner goal, they earned it off the bench. On around 80 minutes, Deschamps sent Bradley Barcola on for Dembele. Fresh legs, direct running, aimed straight at a backline that had been chasing shadows for half an hour. Barely 60 seconds later, he settled the contest. Rabiot, stepping forward out of the double pivot, spotted the run early and clipped a through pass over the top of the Senegal defense. Barcola timed his movement to stay on side, raced clear, and as Mendy charged off his line to narrow the angle, he didn't smash it, he dinked it. A delicate chip lifted up and over, the ball dropping softly under the bar. 2-0. Notice the DNA both French goals shared, a midfielder or a number 10 threading a ball into the space behind the defense and a forward attacking the gap at speed. That was precisely what France looked like once their lines connected, and precisely what they were physically unable to produce in the first half. Now let us give the leading man his close-up because what Mbappe did tonight isn't just 2 goals in a box score. It's a man walking deliberately towards a record nobody has touched in over a decade. Starts with the second goal, the one the Real actually led on, deep in stoppage time. Senegal had just pulled one back through the substitute Mbappe to make it nervy. A lesser captain would have managed the clock. Mbappe collected it and drove at a defense stretched thin by Senegal's attacking subs. And from roughly 30 yards, unloaded a strike that flew into the top corner. This was as emphatic a goal you will wish to see in this World Cup. And here's why it matters beyond the scoreboard. Both goals tonight took Mbappe to 14 World Cup goals. At that number puts him level with Gerd Muller, third on the all-time list behind only Ronaldo on 15 and Miroslav Klose on 16. 2 goals. Mbappe is 2 goals away from the most any human being has scored at World Cups. And this tournament has barely started. And look at how he got here because the trajectory is its own story. 2018, Russia, a 19-year-old, announced himself with 4 goals and a winner's medal, including a strike in the final. The first teenager to score in a World Cup final since Pele in 2022. Qatar, 8 goals, the Golden Boot, and a hat-trick in the final. A final France lost, but one he personally refused to. And now 2026, 2 in the opener and count. He struck his last 2 World Cup appearances side by side, and the run is frightening. The 2022 final was a hat-trick, 3 goals against Argentina, and then tonight, 2 goals against Senegal. That is 5 goals in his last 2 World Cup matches alone. Most players don't manage 5 in a whole tournament. Mbappe has done it in 210 minutes spread across 4 years. So how did the momentum actually ebb and flow across the 90? For the opening 45, the needle sat firmly on the Senegal side. The shot of the post, the gilt-edged 6-yard chance, the better structure and the calmer heads. France barely registered. Then the interval and the line crossed the halfway mark. France climbed from the restart. On around 60 came the flashpoint that briefly lit the torch paper. And on 66, the dam broke with Mbappe's opener. A brief Senegalese wobble as Thiaw changes took effect. Then Barcola's chip on 82 drove the needle to its highest point of the afternoon. And then the most chaotic 90 seconds of the match. Deep into stoppage time, Senegal grabbed a lifeline. The substitute Ibrahim Mbappe, set up by fellow replacement Iliman Ndiaye, beat Theo Hernandez on the outside and fired high past Magnan to make it 3-1. For one fleeting moment, a nervous finish was on the cards, but within a single minute, France answered in the most emphatic way possible. Mbappe collected, drove at a defense that stretched thin by those attacking subs, and unloaded from 30 yards into the top corner. 2 late goals in opposite directions inside 60 seconds, and the bigger statement comfortably was France's. Let's give the directors their due, because this match was decided on the touchline as much as on the grass. Deschamps made the boldest call available and made it early. No waiting for the hour, no tired like-for-like swap. He restructured the entire creative spine of his team at the interval and trusted the players to make it work. Pushing Olise central and Dembele wide solved 2 problems with 1 move. A genuine passer in the danger zone, and Senegal's fullback spinned so they could not help in midfield. The Barcola substitution was the logical next chapter. A fresh, direct runner to punish legs that had spent an hour defending. On the opposite bench, Pape Thiaw rolled the dice the only way he sensibly could once behind. He committed to attack the teenager Ibrahim Mbappe on for Sarr, Iliman Ndiaye into the front line. Habib Diarra added, loading the pitch with fresh pace. It very nearly produced a grandstand finish. But there's always a price for attacking substitutions. Every extra forward you send up the pitch is a defender you no longer have at the back. Against the France side, this sharp in transition, that bracketed space was an open invitation. And it was the space Mbappe ran into for the third. So let's look at the tactical verdict. So both managers had hits and misfires. For Didier Deschamps, the interval switch of Olise to number 10 and Dembele wide turned a blank half into a 3-goal one. He also reconnected the lines. A passer in the central pocket finally linked midfield to Mbappe. He made bold, early decisions, restructuring at the break rather than waiting for the hour. Finally, that Barcola sub, fresh, direct legs that punished a tired defense within a minute. What didn't work? A near toothless first half, one block shot, XG of around 0.05. He got the original front four roles wrong. The front four started as strangers, with Olise stranded wide and lines too far apart. Theo Hernandez was exposed on the outside for Mbappe's consolation goal. Now let's look at Pape Thiaw. He won the first half on merit, outstructured France and pressed high, controlling the midfield 3 versus 2. Also created better chances. Jackson was off the post, Sarr clean through from 6 yards. Late reward was there for the Mbappe-NDI combination, which produced the deserved goal. What didn't work? The 6-yard sin. Sarr's first half miss, the game's true turning point that never came. Also, there was no answer to Olise moving central. The blocks sat too deep to stop the through balls. The attacking subs left gaping space behind for fatal, which was fatal against France in the transition. And the fullbacks were caught narrow once Dembele went wide, opening Mbappe's channel. Here's a curtain call thought to leave you with. We'll all remember the 30-yard screamer and the record ticking closer, but the masterstroke that made those goals possible never made the highlight reel. A number 10 moved 15 yards in field at halftime. And the bit that will dominate your comments, the penalty not given, did not change the score. But it may just have lit the fuse under Mbappe's afternoon. So settle these arguments for me below. 1. Was this win all down to Deschamps' interval switch? Or did Senegal hand France the space with those gung-ho attacking subs? 2. Was not giving the penalty an absolute disgrace? And 3. Does Mbappe break closest all-time record in this tournament? Yes or no? If this breakdown earned an encore, smash that like button, subscribe to European Footballer Adda, and ring the bell icon so that the next episodes of Tactics Room could come to your inbox. See you for the next show.